I didn't want to talk about the season. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Final Four. But John, that was a great description. I forgot all about Toll's goal. So, sorry, Toll. So that was a fun time. That was a great. 20 years ago. It's pretty scary. But first of all, I want to thank the committee for selecting this team. And I know you waited till it was 20 years. So thank you very much for that. And and I really want to thank all the faculty members, if there are any here, that when you had that meeting, the whole school almost shut down to put on this game. And I remember Larry James, my good friend, brought me in his office, and he knows that I've been to national events helping my friend Richard Groff run some national events. He goes, Roy, you've been to these things. What do we need to do? And I said, well, you need a press box, you need stands, you need a VIP tent, which blew away on Friday night. It did, right? It just blew away. So anyhow, it was great to see the school get behind us. And I felt it was a disadvantage playing at home. So I took the team and we went to a hotel that night to keep our rhythm. But we did play very well in that game. A special thanks go to Larry James, who, when I came in here in '89, we didn't have a women's team. And, in '95, we're number 6 in the country. And that was Larry supporting me all the way through. And Sue Newcomb couldn't. You had to put up with a lot of me. And you had to give me a lot of guidance as I was going through, because I was a straight-ahead guy. And Sue says, no, you got to do it this way, Roy. So thank you, Sue and Larry. And John, you kept all the girls together, man. They were broken right and left because we worked hard, and you kept them together. And I think anybody that makes a run through a tournament, you have to have your team healthy. You can't lose a star. And all my stars were on the field for that. So this journey that this '95 team had started in '92, where I was recruiting heavily from my backyard, the Shore Conference. And I brought in a lot of girls from that area who all were captains of their teams. And those girls were mostly defenders, and then a forward in Vanessa. And we were just putting pieces together. So as freshmen, they won the ECAC championships, which was great. As sophomores, they came in second in the ECACs, which I was not happy with. As juniors, they won the ECAC again. But we were not invited to the NCAA tournament. And a lot of you don't know this, but at that time, only 12 women's teams in the nation went to the NCAA tournament. 12. And Trenton was a really good team, and they went, and they weren't going to take 2 from New Jersey. So we had a really good year, our junior year, but Trenton went ahead of us. And maybe it was Lonnie's doing, I don't know, but the next year they expanded the tournament to 16. And I really love the fact that you say we had a bye. There were only 16 teams. That was it. It went from 12 to 16. And we had such a great year, I think the NCAA was forced to take 2 teams from New Jersey. So, they take 2 teams from New Jersey. Okay, we're going to get rid of one of them real fast. Let them play each other. And so John told the story about the Final Four. I wasn't going to tell this story, but now I have a few minutes to tell it. We had, Trenton we had never beaten, but we had played them pretty well on grass. So we knew when we were going up to Amherst, we're going to play them on grass. We knew we could play them even. Every girl felt that they could beat them, and they did. So this is a story that I tell all my friends. I go, this team, Trenton and Stockton happened to stay in the same hotel. Led by Marcy Williams, all the girls went to the lobby and sat there and watched Trenton check out. They were like this. Bye, girls. I said, only this team would do this. And I thought it was pretty great. Joe Russo wasn't real happy. But, they had suffered losing to them for a long time. It was nice to see them get on the bus and leave and us go on to the Amherst game. And the story about Marcy and the penalty kicks, John, that was rehearsed. Everyone knew that wasn't like a spur of the moment thing. We knew Marcy's real low to the ground really quick. And she trained all week long to get, if we go to kicks, Marcy, you're in. So every girl that took the kick, we had rehearsed that. We were ready to go. So it was, time to take kicks. Marcy goes, okay, I'm in the goal. And, Marcy is a little cocky. And I did like that. And, when Marcy gets in the goal and the Amherst girl puts the ball down, Marcy's like this. Okay, what do you got? And then she stoned him. So that was a great day. One of my favorite memories as a coach here at Stockton was the week leading up to the Final Four when we're training at home. And I made a statement that I've only made once in my coaching career. Had all the girls sit down, and I said, ladies, there are only 4 Division III women's soccer teams training in the United States, and you're one of them. Let's have fun. So we just went out and had a great time during that week preparing. And I thought we played really well, against Methodist. I mean, when I got interviewed after the game, they said, what do you have to say? I said, we played well. The ball just didn't go in. They had a very good goalie. And, the shots were like, 22-8. But it wasn't our day. But it was fun playing a game with that many, 2,000 people, 10 yards from the field. And that was a little intimidating for some of the young ladies. I'm not making an excuse, but it was interesting. So how did this team get to the Final Four? All right, number one, I had a very dedicated team and a very intelligent team. I think they had the highest GPA of any team in a long time. Each athlete was incredibly competitive, and they also were competitive in the classroom. The thing I liked about this team is when the season ended, Stockton didn't have these wonderful facilities. So for us to go play indoor, we had to wait for the basketball team to end, so we would come in at 11 o'clock at night. So this team would come in at 11 o'clock at night, and before 11 o'clock, they'd go into the racquetball courts, and they would play themselves. So it was the type of athlete that every coach loves to have. They worked really hard on their fitness. This was one fit team. And as a coach, you only can control so many things. You can't control how fast they are. You can't control how high they jump. You can't control how smart they are. But you can control their fitness. And we were fit, right, ladies? Yes, you were. So the thing about Amherst that I would like to mention, we played 90 minutes at Amherst after playing the day before. We played a half hour, 2 15s of overtime. Then we played 2 15s of sudden death. That's an hour of extra time. Then after that game, the NCAA took all that out, and now you just play a short overtime. So these girls had to play an extra hour, and they were fit enough to do the whole thing. So that shows you why this team had a great record, because they were just fitter than any team they played. One of the biggest factors why we're successful is I had so much support from the whole college. Everybody saw we're on this run, that we're nationally ranked. And once we got nationally ranked in the top 6, I think, Harvey, you really liked that. Going around saying, hey, right, this is pretty cool. So it was nice. I had great support from the men's side. Everybody was behind us. It was exciting times. So I think to get all this done, you have to have a great coaching staff. And I was very fortunate to have Jennifer Barbonardo come onto my staff when these girls, the seniors, were sophomores. And it was a big decision to bring Jen in because she was the sister of one of the players on the team. And we all know how sisters get along. So it was like, But she was such a dynamic person, I felt that the sister act, they can work it out. So I brought her in, and the thing about Jennifer is I coached her from 14 years old on. She played at Toms River South, where I was the coach. So I knew her for 4 years. She started for 4 years. She won numerous championships. She went on. And that time, in the early 90s, there weren't a lot of Division I scholarships. She went on to play at Monmouth College and had a great career there. So coming onto the staff, she brought this toughness, right? Like she's been there. And she passed that along to the athletes, which was quite exciting. In other words, she was a hard ass, and I really appreciate that. I really do. And her sister became a hard ass. So, and you saw our record, 15 shutouts. There's a reason for that. The reason for that Jen was in charge of the defense. And she worked those girls so hard. The nice thing about her was I think her sense of humor. We had fun every day at practice, but we also worked really hard. Let me make sure I have everything about her. Jen, back in the day, for the current soccer coaches, back in the day in the 95, we played man-to-man. And so Jen thrived on, okay, Sue, you've got her. Okay, Heather, you got her. And these girls were really trained well. And I think Jen's philosophy was, the ball can get by you. Maybe your mark will get by you, but both of them don't get by you. And they never did. It was pretty good. That was like her family, the defenders. And and if somebody wasn't really on their game, she would let me right away that we had to make some changes. Jen left the program after 95. She went on and she was the Homedale women's soccer coach, and she still is. So Jen, it was a pleasure having you on the staff. While Jen was watching one aspect of the game, now this is an interesting thing. I have to talk about my other assistant coach, Jane Wilkins. So you better say the right thing. Jane, a lot of the girls don't know this about Jane. Jane began her soccer career in 1980 as the JV coach of boys at Toms River South. Now, at that time in New Jersey, there were no women coaching a boys team, so it was a little controversial. But after the parents got over that factor, they did really, her teams did really well. And then she went on to coach the girls at High School East, and the girls at that time played in the spring. So she was doing the boys in the fall and spring. So I asked her initially to come down to Stockton. She wasn't that interested. But then when she saw who came here in 92, she goes, yeah, I'll come now, because I had a lot of really good players come in. So when she joined the staff, and I think one of the strengths of having my wife on the team was just the fact that she was a mother, and she had this incredible insight into the moods and attitudes of the team members. She would let me know before the game if anybody was having personal problems or what was going on, or be nice to this one. During the game, she would tug on my arm, and she'd go, ease up on her. And there were certain times, as all soccer coaches go through, that we verbalized towards the officials. We think some of their decisions weren't very good. So sometimes I would actually stand up and verbalize, and Jane would grab me, pull me over to the bench, and sit on me. And then she goes, you have to be quiet. So that was fun. Obviously no other assistant coach could do that. So Janie and I would drive down here. We taught all day. We were teachers in Toms River. So we teach all day, and we would drive down here 45 minutes. And during the drive down, we would go over our training session. We would go over, if this girl gets hurt, who are we going to put in here? And if this girl goes down, who's going to go in here? So every day we had this 45-minute prep in the car going down. And we broke our practices down into 5-minute segments. And Jane, being a fourth grade teacher, she was really good at, blocks of time. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. And so our training sessions were scripted before we even got there. There was no wasted time. And this team worked really, really hard at that. Jane worked hard on building the self-esteem of the girls. She knew how to talk to them, and she would go up to them. And if they were having a bad day, which was rare for this team, I said, Jane, go handle that. And she was definitely better equipped than I was. I guess if you ever saw us coach together, Jane was the good cop. I was the bad cop. And Jen was both. So Jane was at her best when we went to Amherst. You know, the emotions of the team were very high. And, you know, it's easy to lose sight of things. And Jane's organizational skills kept us in line. And Jane was the one that had the penalty kicks organized. She goes, no, the girls, we during the week, you're going to take it. You're first, you're second, you're third, you're fourth, fifth. Marcy, you're going in goal. So Jane, all that, you know, she was prepared for all that. And it worked out really well for us. And now, and Jane, thank you. We've been married 50 years. Thank you, dear.